Hi there, and welcome back to the Lifestyle PA, where we unpack the science behind what's really going on in your body after 35 and how to support it through smart, evidence based lifestyle strategies. I'm your host, Beth Ricka, physician assistant, registered dietitian, and lifestyle medicine practitioner. And today's topic is one that comes up constantly with my clients, especially high achieving women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s: cortisol. You may know it as the stress hormone, but there's so much more to the story. Cortisol isn't all bad. In fact, it's essential for life. But like so many things in the body, balance is key. And when cortisol levels are too high too often, it can throw nearly every other system, including your weight, sleep, energy, and other hormones, completely out of alignment. So let's dive in. Welcome to the Lifestyle PA podcast, where we talk about all things women's health and lifestyle to help you become the healthiest and happiest version of yourself. Okay, so what is cortisol and why do we need it? Cortisol is a steroid hormone made by your adrenal glands, those little glands that sit on top of your kidneys. And it plays a critical role in regulating your blood pressure, controlling your blood sugar, reducing inflammation, supporting your circadian rhythm, and helping your body respond to stress. We actually want cortisol to rise at certain times, like in the morning, to help us feel awake and alert and get out of bed, or during a workout to help fuel our muscles. This is what we call the diurnal cortisol rhythm. It should rise in the morning, then gradually taper off so melatonin can rise at night and help you fall asleep. Cortisol is also part of our fight or flight response. It's what helps us power through a deadline, escape a dangerous situation, or crush a workout. The issue is when that stress response gets stuck in the on position. So, what happens when cortisol stays too high? And this is where things can get tricky, especially for women over 35. So, let's talk about what happens when cortisol is chronically elevated. First and foremost, the biggest one that we're all familiar with is weight gain and insulin resistance. High cortisol equals higher blood sugar, which then equals more insulin. And over time, this promotes belly fat, especially visceral fat, which is hormonally active and increases inflammation. Studies have shown that chronically elevated cortisol is linked with increased waist circumference, even in women with a normal BMI. The other big effect we notice is poor sleep. So high nighttime cortisol suppresses melatonin, making it harder to fall asleep or stay asleep. So if you're one of those women waking up between 2 and 4 a.m. with racing thoughts or a pounding heart, that's a red flag for cortisol dysregulation. Third, mood and brain fog. So chronically high cortisol affects neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. It's linked with depression, anxiety, brain fog, and poor memory. And women in perimenopause, as we know, are especially sensitive to this shift. Leading us into number 4, hormone disruption. Cortisol and your sex hormones share a precursor called pregnenolone. When the body is constantly stressed, it shunts that precursor toward cortisol instead of progesterone or estrogen, a phenomenon known as pregnenolone steal. This can worsen PMS, cycle irregularities, and perimenopausal symptoms like hot flashes, irritability, and fatigue. So temporary spikes are okay. Again, it's the chronic elevation that's the real problem here. So here's the nuance. Not all of these cortisol spikes are bad. Again, we want cortisol to rise during things like a really good workout, a cold plunge or sauna, giving a presentation, or taking a test. These are really short bursts, followed by a return to baseline, which actually helps build resilience. It's chronic, unrelenting stress, emotional, physical, environmental, that causes the real damage here. So if you're wondering if this might be you, here are some common signs of chronically elevated cortisol. So belly fat or unexplained weight gain, especially around the midsection for women, your fatigued but wired feeling at night, you're waking up at 3 a.m. with these racing thoughts, you're feeling anxious or constantly on edge, you have brain fog or trouble focusing, you're having sugar or salt cravings, you're getting irregular or painful cycles, you're experiencing skin issues like acne, dryness, dullness, and maybe having some hair thinning or hair loss. These aren't just quote unquote normal signs of aging. They are red flags that your nervous system is overstressed. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about, okay, well, how can I lower my cortisol naturally? So, what does the science say about healthy cortisol regulation? Let's go over some solutions here. So, for regulating your nervous system, here are a few things that I recommend for my clients to work on. So, deep box breathing, meditation, prayer, or mindfulness for even 5 minutes, vagus nerve stimulation. So, things like humming, cold splashes, singing. These practices have been shown to shift you from sympathetic, which is that fight or flight response, panic mode, into parasympathetic, which is your rest and digest process, reducing cortisol in real time. Balancing your blood sugar is critical for many reasons, but definitely helps with cortisol regulation. So aim for that protein and fiber at every meal. Avoid skipping meals or extreme fasting. We know now that's not effective for women over 35. Incorporate magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, dark chocolate. We know that unstable blood sugar is a major physiological stressor, even if you're eating clean already. Also, prioritize your sleep. Consistent sleep-wake times are key, limiting that blue light at night and integrating magnesium glycinate or L-theanine to support relaxation, especially 1 to 2 hours before bed. Cortisol needs melatonin to rise and fall and balance. So sleep is truly where the magic happens. Also, as far as activity, think gentle movement and smart training. So walking, strength training, zone 2 cardio, those all help regulate cortisol. You want to avoid overtraining, especially high intensity intervals or fasted cardio on a daily basis. Again, there are key benefits to incorporating it 1 or 2 times a week, but I'm talking daily here. That will just spike cortisol even further and keep it chronically elevated. So really focus on stimulation over exhaustion and targeted workouts. Your body is not a machine. Rest is just as important as getting those quality workouts in. Also, there are some key adaptogens that we've been seeing a lot of emerging research supporting, along with nutritional support, of course. So again, I'll preface this with always speak with your healthcare provider. Everyone has a different medical history, background, allergies, and tolerances, and things like that. And there may be some contraindications before trialing these. So things like ashwagandha, used short term, has very strong evidence for reducing cortisol and anxiety. Rhodiola is another big adaptogen that can improve energy and focus, especially under stressful situations. Ensuring you're getting enough magnesium, B vitamins, and omega-3s are foundational for adrenal support. And again, always speak to your provider first. So just keep in mind, cortisol is not the enemy. It's essential for life, motivation, energy, and survival. But in our always on, hustle harder world many of us are living in, a state of chronic cortisol overload, especially in midlife when hormonal shifts make us even more sensitive. So if this episode resonated with you, you're not alone. I see it every day in my one-on-one clients and in my 3-month lifestyle program. The good news is that with the right tools, support, and a targeted, personalized strategy, you can get your cortisol back in balance and start feeling like yourself again. So send me a message if you're looking for more support, and be sure to share this episode with a friend who's burning the candle at both ends, because you never know who needs to hear this. As always, thank you so much for listening to the Lifestyle PA, where science meets real life to help you feel your best from the inside out. Until next time, take a nice deep breath and be sure to take care of you. Thanks so much for listening to the Lifestyle PA. I hope you're leaving today's episode feeling empowered and supported on your health journey. If you're ready to take the next step and make real, lasting changes, I would love to invite you to join my 3-month lifestyle program. It's designed specifically for women navigating this season of hormonal and metabolic changes, focused on personalized, sustainable nutrition, movement, sleep, stress, and mindset. Head to thelifestylepa.org or message me on Instagram at _lifestyle_PA to learn more and reserve your spot. And remember, it's the small steps that lead to the big changes. So start with one today.